This video is for everybody that's taking their A-levels this year. So if you're here, you're taking your A-levels this year. If you're not taking your A-levels this year, you can click off this video. I think it's here. Okay, hi, my name is Angela, and I took my A-levels last year. I was from NJC, and now I'm studying at SMU. So I'm gonna give you some context. So if you don't want to know, you can just skip to like the next chapter. It'll be somewhere here. I took 4 H2s. PCME, so physics, chemistry, math, econs. Okay, so for prelims, I got 2 C's and 3 D's. 2 C's for math and econs, and then 3 D's for everything else. My score, RP-wise, out of 90 was around 60 something. And then for the actual A-levels, I got 2 A's and then 3 B's. So everything just shifted up nicely by 2 grades. Before prelims, I was studying for about 3 hours a day. Those of you that know me from like last year, you would know me from my A-level diaries era, where I recorded myself studying and then posted it onto the internet. So it looks like I'm being productive because I used filming as a reason for me to study so that I could actually get some studying done and look productive. So what I was doing during that time, I had 2 main focuses. 1, my academics, and then 2, editing and publishing my vlogs. Then afterwards, right after prelims, honestly, I was quite satisfied with my grades because I was like, I know I'm going to push up later on, but I was getting very stressed out. So I stopped the video thing and then I started studying for 6 hours a day at home. I didn't leave the house, I didn't talk to my friends. I just studied for 6 hours a day at home. And then after that, I had like A-levels, and then that came to a close, and then I started having some more of a social life again. But honestly, my social life has never been that shazazz. If you look at my videos, you will notice that you only see the same few people. That's because, man, I don't know why. That's another topic. Let's not talk about the social thing. I applied to 2 schools after getting my results, NUS Business and SMU CIS. And I got accepted into both without interview. So there's some background information so that you know like where I'm coming from. I'm not speaking to you as somebody that got 90 RP and then got accepted into NUS Medicine or went to like Duke or Columbia. I'm quite happy with where I went to. It was my very first choice. So yeah. I wanted to make this video because I've been studying and locking in recently for uni and I've been editing my videos. So I've been hanging out with Charlotte at cafes and libraries and things like that. And then guess what? I cannot find seats. Why can't I find seats? It's because all these A-level sweaty muggers are everywhere. And not just A-level people, but O-level people also. But I'm telling you, majority of these people are A-level people because they always got the econs book or like the H2 math book open. And so recently I've been walking back home and thinking about like A-levels. And then the stress is low-key coming back to me. And I keep thinking, oh my gosh, this whole past year has been a dream. I'm actually still having my A-levels this year. And I haven't studied. I haven't been studying. So that made me really freak out, and I don't know why, because I'm done with my A-levels. I think as somebody that has finished their A-levels and is still thinking about the stress from A-levels and survived A-levels, I know that it's very close to the actual A-levels and you're definitely very stressed right now. I'm not going to be here to tell you you're going to do really well, or I know you've been studying hard. Because I don't know who you are, but only you know how much you've been studying, and you need to trust that what you've been studying is sufficient. Because I know some people that would study like 12 hours a day, and I know some people that would study half the amount I did, which was around 6 hours a day, only at the A-level time. And the score is not exactly directly proportionate to the amount that you study. So only you know whether the amount that you're studying is sufficient. So what I think I can help you with to help you think of things in a different way so that you can maximize the time that you spend studying for the past 2 or 3 years on A-levels, and so that you won't put anything to waste because of any decisions you make from now up to the actual exam. Okay, right now I think regardless of who you are, what your prelim grades were, you're probably thinking of something along the lines of, oh my gosh, fuck me in the asshole, my grades are shit, I'm cooked, my grades are shit, I'm gonna like become a street sweeper for the rest of my life, my job market is so cooked, I'm gonna be replaced by AI even before getting good grades, AI can take the paper better than me, I'm so cooked, my math prelim failed, my science prelim failed, my chemistry, I don't know, humanities, everything is so cooked, I'm done, I haven't got an A for a single exam yet, how am I supposed to do well for A levels? That's probably something along the lines of what you're thinking right now. And whether you felt this exact thing or not, it's probably along the same vein of, oh my god, I am fucked. I have not been doing well, therefore so I am fucked. I am not going to insert school. That's probably along the veins of what you're thinking right now, and then it will spiral and spiral, and then it will end in a place where it's like my life is over and everyone is going to laugh at me because my grades were shit. And I think that the moment you let yourself get in your own head about this, about the whole, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna do well, I may not do well, I don't know if I'm not gonna do well, but I may not do well, the keyword is the may not do well, and because I may not do well, I may not get this grade, and then after I don't get this grade, I may even get held back, I may get retained, I may not be able to go to uni, I may just crash and burn, I may die, I may have to go like repeat 3 years in poly, I may have to go, like all of these concerns, like will just keep spiraling in your head, especially if you don't feel prepared, which you probably don't because you can never actually feel prepared for A levels. If you keep thinking along these lines, that's actually your downfall. And I know it's easier said than done to get rid of these thoughts. So, because I had difficulty with these thoughts as well, and I know a lot of people have difficulties with these thoughts close to very high-stake national exams, where people are always saying, this is going to determine the rest of your life. If you fumble this, you're cooked. So it's like a be-all end-all type of situation. And this is probably what you're feeling. So this is the strat to maximize the next few weeks up to your A levels, and then after that you're done, okay? Okay, so we're gonna do this thing where maybe you take out a phone, like a notes app, or you take out a piece of paper, and then you just imagine what is the worst case scenario for you. Like, what is the most realistic worst case scenario? Set yourself a baseline. So, for example, let's say it was something like, oh my gosh, I might get 40 RP. Okay, so let's say that's your baseline. So then with 40 RP, what's going to happen to you? Like, what is going to happen to you if you get 40 RP? Maybe you have to go to a school that you don't want to go to. And then people look down on you because they're like, oh my gosh, this person fumbled. And then now they're in this school, you're never going to get a job. Okay, so then imagine if you are in this position of the lowest possible thing that will happen. What are your options? So for me, my options when I discussed with my father was 1, I go to private uni, 2, I go to poly, 3, I retake my A levels. And to me, I was like, I'm not retaking my A levels. I'm just gonna go to poly or private uni or some like start working or something like that. So that was my baseline of that's my last resort and that's my plan Z. And then you just sit in it. Like you sit in the fact that this is your last resort. And for an absolute worst case scenario, how actually terrible is it? I know it's far from ideal, but you have to come to terms with the fact that yes, this is your very worst case scenario. And the outcome of this exam is incredibly uncertain. So if you're okay with this worst case scenario, and you acknowledge that it is a worst case scenario and highly unlikely to happen, you will then be able to be content with the fact that, okay, no matter what goes on from here, if I continue studying, the very worst case scenario is I have to retake. I go poly. And that's your worst case scenario. And how upset will you be about it? And how likely is this actually going to happen? I believe you can only try harder to achieve better things if you come to terms with the worst possible outcome of what you're about to put yourself into. Because I think for most people, A levels is one of the highest stakes things that we've probably done in our lives. So to us, it's the only option is up. There is no option of not doing well. And we've never even considered not doing well. Maybe we have. And when we do consider not doing well, it's always things like, my life is over, my life is over. And you keep spiraling in your head about an outcome that you're not even sure of. And you've never concretized ever. So when you put it into actual outcomes of what is going to happen, you will then be able to focus on doing the work required to not put yourself in that situation. Because you have already accepted that that is the worst case scenario. And it's very unlikely. And then once you're done with this, you can then think, what's the best case scenario? And what's the most likely best case scenario? And then you address that as a best case scenario. So now you know the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. And now you have your expectations. This is an exercise, it's like a mind thing that I did before the A-levels. And it really helped me focus and throw my stress and my worry and my pent-up frustration out of the window and really just study. Right now, you have about 1 to 2 months left. If you have practical, then you have less than that. But it's okay, because I know you've been working on it probably. Your priority should be maintaining your physical and mental health. So right now, you need to focus and you need to prioritize. Throw everything outside of the window if there are things that do not fill your cup and there are things that drain your energy. For example, if you really like watching drama, but right after drama you cannot focus on an exam, then stop watching dramas. You can continue watching dramas 2 months after, or if you really wanted to, go and rewatch an old drama that's like really anticlimactic. You do not have an excuse to not throw everything out the window because you have worked so hard for the last 2 years. Even though this current period of time may feel like one of the worst academic experiences that you've ever had, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to everybody around you that has supported you to continue trying and to give it your best shot. So unless like your house got bombed or something, you do not get to give up on yourself because this is your future. Like a story of mine is that during my A-levels, right in the middle of it, my grandfather passed away. So I would go for his wake, and it was my first time dealing with grief. So I would go for his wake and bring my physics MCQs and do it there. And then afterwards, I went for his funeral, like his cremation. And then that afternoon, I went for my physics MCQ paper for A-levels. And even in that situation, I wanted to stop. I wanted to just chill and then just let the exam paper come, take it and go. But my parents didn't let me. And I also didn't allow myself to do that. So you shouldn't allow yourself to give up for any reason. Unless if your house got bombed and then you have no more house. Then you probably have bigger concerns. But for as far as I know, none of your houses are getting bombed. So don't give up. Go back and continue studying. And if you're not studying, go for a run. If you're not running, go and eat like healthy food. Not like good food, but healthy food. Or go and sleep. Yeah, get off your phone. Stop using TikTok, stop using Instagram. By now it should be deleted. If it's not deleted, don't stress about it, just delete it now. You need to understand that every single decision you make from now until your last paper directly affects your examinations and the results. And even if it may not necessarily affect the school that you go to, it will affect how you view yourself and your self-worth, because you know that, oh, you could have done better, why didn't you? You don't want to beat yourself up over something like this, where you could have just pushed through. I trust that since you're at the end of this video, you know what to do. Just know that regardless of the actual results, you are loved. And everyone loves you, and even if your parents say they'll disown you if you don't do well, they probably won't. And even if hypothetically maybe your friends all do really well and you don't do really well, they're probably not gonna ditch you and like look down on you. Like there may be people that will look down on you if you don't do well, but then are those really the people that you want to surround yourselves with? Regardless of what you get, the world is not gonna end. So you should do your best with no fears of what could happen, and just do your best. All the best! I hope this was useful. If it wasn't, then I rushed home to like film to catch the light. So, but I really do feel very strongly about this because I really hate A-level period, and I know everyone does. Wait, I have one more very important piece of advice. Stop using Reddit. Don't use SG exams and don't ask people about how they've been studying. And just stop comparing. If you were doing, like for example, if you were getting like D's and then you're like, shit, I did really bad for prelims. Let me go see if SG exam says anyone that did worse. And then you go on the SG exams and then you see people saying, oh my gosh, I got U for everything. Can I still get like 60 for A-levels, then you feel better. Don't do that, okay? Comparison is a thief of joy. And do you really know who you're comparing yourself to? You don't know who you're comparing yourself to, so don't do it. Okay, all the best. You are very loved.
꼭 참았던 말이야. 이제는 내 맘을 보여줄 때인 것 같아.